Thank you to our colleague Matapela Maloya. As she has rightly mentioned, we are still coming to you live from our Nasrec studios in the south of Johannesburg. It is day 4 of the ANC 5th National Policy Conference. We're joined in studio at this moment by the chairperson of the ANC in the Free State Province, Mr. Magashule. Very good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Afternoon.
Thank you for joining us here at ANN7. Let's start with something that has been on the lips of many people at the ANC Policy Conference, radical economic transformation. Now, we do know that Jeff Radebe has said that the National Development Plan is the most radical blueprint for the economy. Do you think it is radical enough to enforce a radical economic transformation?
Well, I think we should focus on our resolution taken at Mangaung Conference. Radical economic, socio-economic transformation. It means the policy of the ANC, so that there is no any other understanding, the control of the economy, the management of the economy, participation by the poor and those who have been disadvantaged at all times should happen. So it has to happen. And I think all over here, and I think it has been also contextualized, put in terms of the trajectory, in terms of where we are today, is the fact that there is no black monopoly capital. So you can't even talk about black monopoly capital. There is white monopoly capital. Those who are benefiting since the dawn of democracy remain few and remain white in the main. And this is what we are saying, we need to address it. We are not saying whites will be excluded because we are a non-racial organization. We believe in a non-racial country.
Now, just looking at one of the overwhelming feelings that's sort of come up through the past 4 days is the issue of land expropriation without compensation. The sense is that the ANC should implement that as speedily as possible without delays such as a referendum. Do you share those sentiments that the referendum would be a delay tactic to implementing?
Well, it's also, many people are, at some stage when the president was talking about it, when EFF proposed that we should take land without expropriation, the president put it in context and he cited a resolution of Mangaung, just 2012, to say we have taken such a resolution. And it was saying we're legal. And so it has to happen. I think 23 years into democracy, our people have been crying for land, and where we have to take it into practice, I think we should do so. This is the time now. And it won't disadvantage white South Africans. I'm sure it will be done orderly, because we are an orderly organization, and we must amass the society and people wherever they are to do anything responsibly. So land without compensation, because we can't negotiate as if we have not been disadvantaged. Our land was not taken many years ago, even before 1930. So whether we go through Parliament, and I think we should go through Parliament, and I think we'll get the necessary support to have the majority of people supporting the ANC on this land question. All those organizations, I think, in the main, which are very reasonable, will support the ANC, and the ANC will implement it responsibly as government. We need to work together with other political parties.
An ANC document has agreed that regime change forces are real within South Africa, and it also has shown out that some media houses also do try to push this regime change. How do you think the ANC must go about taking on this regime change and actually trying to make the public aware of what's happening?
Well, we don't have the media in South Africa. You know, I've traveled the world, whether it's America, whether it's Cuba, whether it's China, whether it's UK. I recently went to Rwanda. The media is free, but there are certain things which the media cannot actually go above. In South Africa, I think our media freedom is just media freedom. We're not regulating some of the things When we wanted to implement the media tribunal, I think there were issues, and I think we retreated. We still want a media which is free, because this is what we have fought for during the days of apartheid, freedom of speech, association, free media. But the media must also be responsible so that we don't have fake news, so that we don't have allegations after allegations where things are alleged. They are put as facts. And I think we need to learn from other countries, including the countries where they claim they are more democratic, how they deal with the issue of the media. I think South Africa, we have gone above board, and this is time for us as a country, as society, to further address and engage on this issue. But we need to take, indeed, anybody who will say there are no forces of regime change in South Africa will not be living here. I think in any revolution and in any global politics, you can see things are changing. The conservative parties are taking over. They are making a lot of noise. They are taking over. And who are these people? Because a lot of people, a lot of NGOs are emerging. How are they funded? South Africa is just open because there isn't any country which allows flow of money to the country, to NGOs, without really putting regulations into place, without saying, no, we are not saying we should not be done, but it has to be done in a particular framework. So there are elements of regime change in South Africa.
Now, the chairperson of the ANC in the Northwest, as well as KZN, spoke to us in the past 2 days, and they mentioned that there's no automatic succession in the ANC, that it's unconstitutional, it's not in line with the ANC policies. Is this perhaps an indication or a hint that it's not in support of the current deputy president taking over after President Jacob Zuma has to step down in December?
No. I think what is the constitution of the ANC saying? What have we done since the ANC was unbanned? 1991 conference in Durban. We voted. We voted for the leadership which branches wanted. We went to the next conference, we voted. We went to the next conference, we voted. We never voted because you are holding a particular position. The branches nominate. So if you say the branches nominate, we could have put it in our constitution to say this is how we are going to elect leadership. In the constitution of the ANC, it says a member has a right to elect and a member has a right to be elected. I hear people citing history. We can also cite history. And I'm just citing it from 1994. And we can go even beyond, before 1994, how the ANC. You see, when we are divided, when we have certain preferences, we should not say this is how things must actually be done. In fact, my province and many other provinces in the country, it's us who wanted Deputy President to be Deputy President, Cyril Ramaphosa. We approached Deputy President ourselves. And at that time, this is what I remind people, at that time people were saying Cyril Ramaphosa is part of the white monopoly capital. We said the ANC is a broad church. Within the ANC, you have people with money. Within the ANC, you have those who are communists. Within the ANC, you have non-communists, Jews and Gentiles, rich and poor. So the ANC is an omnibus. So when we elect leadership of the ANC, we elect leadership of the ANC from members in good standing. The constitution of the ANC is very, very clear. And what we need to do, we should not be citing any other thing which does not exist. What we need to do, we should be saying, we have the following names. These are our preferences, Province 1, Branch 2, Branch 4. Can we persuade one another in terms of leadership? Because that's what we have done over years. Engagement, persuasion. Don't impose the member or the leader you want to us. Because once you do that, you are hardening attitude. The ANC is an organization of persuasion. And I think as provinces, I'll talk from my province as a member of the ANC belonging to a branch. My branch must be given an opportunity because we also have a tendency, even as leadership at various levels, not national, to go to a branch and tell them that nominate me as Magashule to be whatever. No, the branches must first have its own opportunity and time to engage. And once they've engaged, when we have different opinions, we are going to have regional meetings, we are going to have provincial meetings, we'll have national meetings, open meetings, where we need to engage. And this is what is happening in our commissions. There is peace, there is absolute unity. Divergent views, different views, we are engaging. And when it makes sense, I'm persuaded, I drop my view, and then we move on. That's how we have built the ANC over time and over years.
Well, there's one final question. We know that you do have other engagements to go to. So there's been talks about the top six expanding. Well, do you think that this will be good for the ANC? And what matter do you think that they are looking at expanding the top six?
Well, from our branches, because I can't talk my view. From our branches in the province, they say, we understand when Nelson Mandela and Oliver Tambo came out of jail and exile, we were not sure who must be the leader. And when during exile time, people ask a question, who's going to be a leader? Is it going to be Oliver Tambo or Nelson Mandela? And one of our greatest leaders, Magashule, responded and said the structures of the ANC must decide. And come 1991, Mandela did not want to become Oliver Tambo, but we had to decide as branches of the ANC. So from our province, provinces have different views. Our views are subjected to the entire policy conference. And this policy conference views are not final. There will be national conference in December. That's when final positions will be taken. So my province says, at that time there was a need to create a position national chair because we wanted to accommodate Oliver Tambo. This time we should not create a problem, a mistake, that there are problems and we enlarge our structure. So my province says, keep the top six as is. We hear other provinces say, so they will engage us if it makes sense because of times, material conditions. That's what Karl Marx says, we'll move with the tide. We are Democrats, so we'll listen to the rest. But we are also trying to say to them, you don't need this. Because if you say you need third, second deputy president, when you have a full-time secretary general and deputy secretary general, what is the role of the general secretary or the secretary general of an organization? Leave the people who are going to occupy that position. They will be determined at the end of the year. Talk about the position, full-time functionaries, so that we don't create another problem for us where we have to accommodate, so-and-so is not there, let's accommodate him. So-and-so is not there. And we don't know who will actually win at the end of the day. If we reach consensus, that's the route to take. But if we don't, the ANC all years have voted, all the years, all the time. So we are not in a crisis. It's democracy at its best.
Well, so we have about a minute left. Just before we let you go, the DA's ANC policy made the Dubai advert. Mr. Paul Mashatile actually reacted angrily to that DA advert, mentioning that some ANC members actually are law-abiding citizens and they felt incited. There was an advert by the Democratic Alliance about ANC's policy being a Dubai, run advert. And so Mr. Mashatile reacted to this angrily, saying that members of the ANC actually are law-abiding citizens. Is he perhaps trying to suggest that there are some members who are not law-abiding citizens by making that comment, or is it just in defense of those who are law-abiding citizens?
But who's DA? What agenda they serving? Where do they want to take this country? Who's funding them? Who's behind them? And that's why we say there is regime change in South Africa. And we as the ANC, we must work hard on the ground. So the DA has a right to say whatever they want to say. We as ANC, we should mind our own business, work hard, and dispel all these perceptions by the DA and the opposition. We shouldn't respond to them, we shouldn't worry. We must just do our work. And I think our weakness is that at times we want to focus on what they say. When the car moves, they say the dog barks. So the ANC must move on. So I have no comment on the DA advert. They have a right to do whatever they want to do. But as the ANC, I think this is the right time. We have been too soft. Radical means we must be radical, respect the law, do everything legal, still be humble leadership, but decisiveness. We need to be decisive to take this country forward so that nobody actually thinks the ANC is a lame dog now.
Well, thank you so much for your time and joining us in studio. That was the chairperson of the ANC in the Free State Province, Mr. Ace Magashule.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. So that's all from us here live at Nasrec from the ANC Policy Conference. Do stay tuned to ANN7 for more updates after the break.